Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the UNSW Bachelor of Design Industry Insights lecture series for Core Design Studio 3. I cannot believe we are week 9. This is our 9th industry lecture and I'm really excited, as I am every week, about our speaker today. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands upon which our campus stands, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and future. So, as I mentioned today, I'm incredibly excited to welcome Skye Molyneux from Bleux, a graphic design studio working in the interior space. Bleux really is a fantastic example of collaborative practice as Skye and her team work alongside architects, interior designers, builders, printers, just to name a few, and I'm sure Skye will talk about that today. I think this lecture is of particular interest to so many of you as you are studying, a lot of you are studying the discipline of graphic design in this degree. Skye has 25 years experience in graphic design and branding. And as the founder and director of Bleux, her passion lies in creating inspired environments with clients. So combining her knowledge of colour, psychology and design. Colour psychology, I should connect those two, and design. So Skye will not only give us insight into her practice, but she may also give us some insight into what it takes to run a successful design studio and really creating designs that last the test of time. Thank you, Skye, so much. I know you're incredibly busy, so we really appreciate you making the time to come and chat to us today. I might just pop you up on the screen there so you can say hello.
My mic, yeah.
Yep, you're
right. My mic, can you?
Yes, you're live. You're live.
I'm live. My goodness. What an introduction. Thank you, Emma. Goodness. So just to give you guys a little bit of insight, Emma and I are both graphic designers and we met in the same building. So there was a bit of personal background as well, but it's lovely to be here. And yeah, I'm busy, COVID busy, but this sort of stuff is really close to my heart because I used to teach at TAFE. I taught in San Francisco for a little while. I love students. I wish I could see your faces because it's something that, you know, when I was teaching, you know, you go into the classroom and I'm sure, you know, Emma and Vivian, you're missing seeing your students and getting that kind of youthful vibe and getting the feedback. And, you know, unfortunately, I don't even know what you guys look like. You're a little green light in my camera and yeah, it's just kind of strange. So anyway, I might ramble. If I'm rambling, just cut me down with a few questions because otherwise I'll just fill that space. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I was a pure graphic designer back in the day. I went to school in Sydney, gosh, in end of the 80s, and back then we were learning a completely different skill set. Emma can probably remember, you know, gosh, I can't even remember the names. What were the names of those pens? Spiraline pens? No, there was something. Rapidograph pens that would get blocked, and that's what your line work with. And yeah, I can see that the old girls nodding along. Sorry, you're not too old. I am. But yeah, we'd be on a sloped kind of drafting desk. There was, you know, there were no computers. So we were actually really lucky that we got to kind of learn really analog tools and then develop as the digital kind of part of the industry developed. And I worked in the Billy Blue design studio coming out of school. And then I kind of figured that there must be more to graphic design than just what I'd learnt, you know, in a pretty rudimentary design course, not UNSW, somewhere else. And I just sort of thought there must be more to graphic design because I was seeing stuff coming out of, you know, the UK and the US, and I thought, wow, I'd like to go and explore that. And of course, that's back in the day when you can go and roam the world and look at stuff. So, you know, I'm hoping that we get the genie back in the bottle with this one and you guys can go and do some awesome stuff overseas as well. But you know, you guys have the internet. We didn't have the internet, and we had to wait for, you know, magazines to arrive with design stuff, you know, and that would be 3 months after. These days you can just kind of dial up everything and have a good old look at everything. But it's the collaboration and, you know, the time that you spend together, you know, in the studio, in the classroom, with your teachers, talking to, you know, to your contemporaries, your friends, your family about, you know, what makes you sort of hum as a designer, because design is all about communication. So I can imagine that this sort of forum would be difficult to navigate. So, you know, try and remember to collaborate. And it sounds like, I was speaking with Emma the other day, it sounds like you guys are actually doing a really good job in keeping those connections going during this time, so that, you know, you can do awesome stuff. Anyway, I'm just talking at you. I should maybe tell you a little, maybe I'll finish up the history lesson. So yeah, went to San Francisco, had an awesome time. I went to school there. I worked there. I also taught there, because that was a sort of a condition of the education there, that you sort of give back, something we don't necessarily enforce here. But yeah, I mean, you know, to have Emma, you know, an industry professional teaching you is really important, because she hasn't just been up on a shelf for 20 years doing, you know, nothing but teaching. So it's really important to get the industry kind of plug in. So yeah, came back doing graphic design, things developed, had kids, couldn't keep up with the kind of workload, and then started to, because of technology again, in instant printing, digital printing allowed me to look at larger format things, less about branding and traditional kind of annual reports and logos and whatever, and then started to really have some fun working in the interior space. So sort of developed from doing sort of canvases on walls to doing whole walls to doing films and all that sort of stuff. So it's probably at this point, if I jump into, hopefully it works, the presentation PDF. Now, oh, Emma, how do I do that? Do I just nod? Do I just go to there?
Share your screen. Yeah, absolutely.
Is that right there?
I think it's just coming up. So you just need to share. So I'll stop sharing.
Oh, sorry, guys.
It's okay.
The hum of the computer.
This is the great thing about mine. So can you see the sharing button there, Skye, with your screen?
Sorry, I've gone now into, hang on. Back to Teams. I'm so sorry, guys. So sharing is caring. Share. Oh, okay. So back to the presentation there. And no, not that.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. To there. And then full screen. Where was it? It's not working, my Command L full screen. There we go. Now, are you seeing that?
At the moment, it's not sharing the full screen, so I might just get you to stop sharing, go to full screen, and then come back in and share the screen again. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, now just go to full screen in the program.
Off to the side. Yep. Okay, so let's try this again.
I'm sure it's coming in now.
Because once I'm in full screen, I can't go back to share it from me.
Okay, I might just get you to maybe just share the screen as is then, and we can just see it.
Right, okay. Share desktop. Is that working?
That's coming in now. Yep. So I'll just pop that up on the screen. I don't know if there's any way to get that. How
did we do it before? Okay.
Might just see if we can put that in presentation mode just one last time, and if that's okay.
Full screen mode. Yeah. Is this working? I'm fingers crossed. Come on, guys. Give me a big fingers crossed. Is it working?
Okay. No, I might just try one last time. Just to, if you go to the program and just stop sharing for a second, go to full screen and then whiz back to Teams and then just find the app in the desktop. If not, doesn't matter, we might just go with this graphic, that should be fine. Just try one super last time. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm back in with you guys, and I'm so sorry. This is so boring, guys. So am I sharing my desktop?
So just
presentation. Gosh, I hope this is.
Yep, that's it. Done.
Oh.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Oh, I've lost my audience, so I'm talking to myself now.
No, you haven't. They're going up in numbers. It's all
okay. Alrighty. And guys, take the time. Hopefully, that's given you a little bit of time to think up some awesome questions. Awkward questions. I love answering awkward. Okay, so there's my shiny little studio. That's me on a good hair day, and my friend, my fellow signage guy who's not an amputee, but he's got his leg kind of cocked up, so it sort of looks a bit strange. Anyway, I'm really lucky. I own my own little business and I've got 6 people working with me. We're in a sunny little studio in Surrey Hills, and we get to do a whole lot of awesome things. So basically, I sort of figured out that, you know, you don't have to create a new design for every project. And I'll get into the type of projects that we do, but I thought that I'd start with design because you guys are designers. So what I was sort of thinking for the interior stuff that we do, which is, you know, wall coverings and glazing and whatever, I'll show you that later. I just kind of thought that, you know, maybe we could offer a range of things and they could be customized, you know, for each job. So what we have is a website, and, you know, I invite you guys to go to bleux.com.au. At some stage. You will have to register because we've had a number of incidences of people kind of coming to the website and taking the designs and then they appear somewhere else. Don't do that. And no, if you change it by 10%, it doesn't count. That's what builders and signage people will tell you. So yeah, beware. Anyway, so we've got these awesome designs. They sit in a library, and specifiers, which are architects and interior designers and end users, get to come into the website, click on a design and start kind of looking at things. You can explore the website for yourself. A lot of people go there and sort of get inspired by, you know, what they see. We do a number of finishes. So yeah, we're not really pure graphic design anymore. I sort of thought it'd be nice to kind of move away from that. And after doing years and years of really conceptual stuff, and you've got to do the conceptual stuff, you've got to use your grey matter. But then I sort of thought, wouldn't it be nice to sort of do decorative yet functional products? So suddenly I was kind of morphing from a graphic designer into sort of a product designer. And I know that it's just, it sort of looks like it's just stuff that you stick on walls, but we have these products that allow people to have, you know, safety bands, which, you know, every new build needs safety bands. They need to be compliant. Screening films so that, you know, you've got lots of glazing, but you actually need to create privacy so that people can feel comfortable when, you know, they're kind of working. Wall coverings that go on walls. We've got echo panel. So you're probably seeing here that, you know, this is what digital printing allows you to do. And there's different sort of ways of printing onto different substrates. These are all acoustic panels. timber wall covering. We do glass splashbacks and acrylics. We do one-way vision. It's amazing. You guys probably see one-way vision when you're sitting on the bus, you know, and you sort of look through that sort of screen thing, and it allows you privacy from, you know, the traffic, but you get to see through. When you print a beautiful design on it, not just a daggy old ad, it looks actually really beautiful. So we use that a lot, you know, in correctional facilities or, you know, psych units. We do a lot of mental health, which is where the sort of colour psychology comes into it. So that's kind of interesting. Acrovin, you probably, yeah, that's a very technical thing for hospitals. We do signage and we do rugs. And here are our two top installers putting putting film on glass, and it kind of looks bubbly and whatever, but yeah, that dries and it leaves a beautiful kind of faded effect. So just to give you an idea, you know, within the context of where we work, this design, fluted design, basically allows architects to put the film onto glass and gives it that fluted effect, which is quite fashionable now. Hey, when it goes out of fashion, you can peel it off. Yeah, the client that wanted the safety band through the middle to be compliant. We get a lot of people sort of, yeah, finding it difficult to interpret the BCA, which is the Building Codes of Australia clause about safety band and what to put on glass so that you don't walk through it. Yeah, I will go on from that because that's really boring. So we basically work in all kinds of workspaces. We use, you know, those ideas, concepts, techniques that you've used in creating brands. We then flow it through, you know, into the space. So, you know, people will have brands that, you know, they want their logo on everything. You know, when you're working in the real world, well, you're in the real world, but yeah, when you work with clients and they want their logo on everything, first thing is ask them why. And I'll maybe touch on asking questions later on. And that's why you guys have to ask questions, because design is all about answering them, you know, providing the solutions. So yeah, the first thing I asked a client when they say, oh yeah, we want, you know, branding on everything. And I'm like, why? It's like, well, we want to, you know, own the space, or we want people to know where they are. And I'm like, they should know where they are if, you know, if your other graphic designer has done their job with, you know, the business card or the logo or the, you know, front of house signage. But what we do is say, okay, so you've got the yellow logo or you've got the multicolored logo. Let's put it through the space without slavishly reminding people. No one wants to be surrounded by Coke logos all the time, or, you know, Telstra or whatever. We also do a lot of health, and I'm jumping around. I do apologise. I'm having one of those jumping around days. We recently did the Marie Bashir. Oh gosh, it's not going back now. We work a lot in the mental health space, and this is where sort of colour theory and colour psychology comes in. And it's funny because it does seem to kind of move around a fair bit. You know, colour theory keeps getting reinterpreted. And I think that, I don't know, I'd love to have a conversation with you guys and sort of open it up. It's like, you know, what makes pink great sometimes and not great at other times? Also listening to, you know, listening to the people that work within these spaces. Nurses know a lot of stuff, and you know, when you start asking nurses the questions, they'll say, oh no, we don't want a big yellow wall because it can make people sick. There's actually a condition where yellow triggers some sort of nausea in people. So yeah, be careful using yellow. I love yellow, I use it all the time, but yeah, a full strength wall in a hospital has really bad effects. Here you can see on screen, this was for a job. They wanted, you know, to bring the outside in, but they wanted a certain amount of privacy in this waiting room because of the sensitive nature of it. So we created sort of like, you know, a bit of nature in the leaf, a bit of a fade, so that you got the beautiful treetops, but I guess you guys can't see the really bad car park below. So that's where I really enjoy what we do. You know, we get to solve problems, and, you know, it's not just decorative, it really is functional. This is a collection that I'm really excited about, and Emma, I'm so glad when we hear, you know, the acknowledgement of country. I love hearing the welcome to country, because that's usually, you know, well, it's done by one of our Indigenous brothers or sisters. This was a collection that we've only just launched, but we had it completed the end of last year, but there was fires, smoke, Christmas, floods, more fires, then COVID. So there was, and then the Black Lives Matters. So it just never seemed to be the right time to do it. So we only just launched it last week, and we're really proud of it because it's such beautiful work. And here it is in its sort of full glory. And it's basically, we get a lot of people saying, oh, you know, do you have any designs that are Aboriginal, or can you do some Aboriginal designs for us? And I'm sort of like, you got to be really sensitive about, you know, cultural appropriation, particularly the stories that the Aboriginal people share with us are their stories to share. They're not for us to take, they're not for us to reinterpret. And sometimes you have to push back pretty hard on a client that wants, you know, oh, can't you just do a bunch of dots? And it's like, no, you can't just do a bunch of dots. So what we did was we approached a group of women who are artists in the Utopia region, which is in sort of central Australia, north of Ayers Rock. And they've got a really beautiful culture of, or tradition, I should say, of creating art that came out of the batik movement in the 70s. I don't know if you knew that, Emma, or any one of you, that, you know, batik was something that was kind of transported to this community in the 70s as a bit of an art program. And from there, they kind of moved in, you know, they adapted it. They, you know, sort of, yeah, they own it. It's just, the work is so beautiful. And so, yeah, there's a bunch of dots, but they're their dots and they are awesome. And there's no way that we could ever, you know, take that from them. So we've got a range that we're now offering that these artists, we've bought from them, and we give them a royalty for every metre that's specified and put in. They get money back into their bank account. There's no middlemen, and they get to use it, you know, in their community on their stuff, and it's a really lovely thing. Education. Oh, hang on. Am I meant to be because I can't see the rest of the screen? Am I meant to be taking questions if there's anything, or these guys are so polite and you're waiting to?
We might do questions once you've finished your presentation, if that's okay, Skye.
Great. Okay. Education is something, again, that's really close to my heart because of, you know, the background that I've had. And as we know, the key to a lot of problems, whether it's, you know, obesity or health or Black Lives Matters or women's issues or transgender, you know, whatever it is, like the more you can be educated about something, the better off we would be. So I really love to plug into the kind of education space, the learning spaces. And here you can see this is a group of kids in Adelaide in their, I think it was STEM, I don't think it was STEAM, but anyway, we were doing a project with them where you can see here there's a sort of a double helix going into the tree, and it was sort of like a screening between the science labs. In real life, that's actually a lot more, you can't really see through it. There's some sort of funny thing the camera does where it allows you to see through, but that's actually quite a lovely sort of opaque, but it lets light through situation. We also did camera ray, and this was a really bad low res image of primary. So yeah, we were here. You can sort of see where we've responded to the dots on the floor. That was, you know, obviously a playground area into the safety bands. We developed them specially so they were extra thick because there was a lot of glazing in a kids area, and we all know kids do tend to run into glass. Actually, adults do too. So yeah, that was kind of a nice solution. And then yeah, echo panels in a library to conceal cupboards and what have you. I'll fly through these. This is different areas of a school in the inner city in a high rise. That's their lift doors. They're about one of the only schools at the moment that have lift doors. Hopefully we'll see more of that as time goes on. And then we did a whole bunch of distancing stickers. So yeah, sort of again morphing and having to do a quick little, you know, R&D on, you know, how to get our stuff that we usually put on the wall onto the floor, coated, and, you know, having a bit of fun with it. You know, everyone knows what a distancing sticker is, but, you know, you put the, you know, you brand it and you put, you know, the Dr. Collier, who is the principal, you have a bit of fun there. So there's, you know, always room. Government, without government projects, you know, our little studio would be, you know, we'd be on job keeper at the moment because yeah, we do a lot of government stuff, and it's not all ugly. It can be really fantastic. And then retail and hospitality, NAB banks. These are echo panels. They're to dampen the acoustics or baffle acoustics in a meeting room. Again, you know, functional stuff that is also beautiful. This is kind of nice. Probably won't see this for a while. It's at the airport, but it's between the busing areas. So, yeah, I remember coming off a plane one time. I'm like, oh my God, that's my wall. Awesome. It was so exciting. So, yeah, I still have those moments, you know, as a graphic designer, hopefully for you guys, there'll be that moment where you go, I did that, and it's now there for the public to see or enjoy, or yeah, hopefully. And this is in an IINet office, and it's kind of a funny looking thing, but it leads me into the rugs portion, which if you had have asked me 20 years ago, hey, what will you be doing in 20 years time? I wouldn't have said rugs. So we have a range of rugs. Our designs, you know, are beautiful and graphic, and they can be interpreted. We've got this range with designer rugs. And Emma, you'll probably recognise that room. That was in our old studio in Surrey Hills where we met. But yeah, they're beautiful. And working on rugs, I mean, gosh, different materialities. You know, I guess at the moment you guys are thinking of, you know, like printing on paper or doing stuff, you know, on a screen. But just like your interaction with humans, sometimes you want to touch and feel, and just, you know, to be working with, you know, with rug, what are they called? Little, you know, the samples of the colours was really quite a beautiful experience. So yeah, that's rugs. And then signage and wayfinding we've done a little bit of. It's tricky. Like, as a graphic designer, I always thought, oh yeah, I'd love to do a course in signage and wayfinding, but you know, it's almost like they're the engineers of graphic designers, because there's a lot involved to, you know, where things are placed, you know, do they meet requirement, a lot of materiality. And we've been doing signage for a little while now. I think we're pulling it off. We're not going to be offering it in the same capacity because it doesn't really fit the business model. The business model, really boring stuff, business sometimes, but every sign seems to be bespoke. And, you know, we want to be offering stuff to architects and designers that they can kind of see already, and it's almost like, you know, off the shelf or ready to wear. So these kind of projects are quite specific. So yeah, unless of course there's some budding signage and wayfinding people out there that I can't see that want to come in and lead, you know, head up the signage and wayfinding department in the future, because I just don't have the head for it. And gosh, we're finishing off, I think we're finishing off on this hoarding that we did. So that's actually a hoarding that was done on the Griffiths Tea building in Surrey Hills, and that's actually a photograph, an old photograph, and you can tell by the signage down at the bottom here. It was shot sort of in the 1920s, and while they were constructing in behind, they wanted to put a facade of the building itself. So yeah, it looked amazing in real life. And again, it was one of those moments that I just, would ride past it and go, wow, that's something we did. So that was kind of nice. So yeah, that brings us to the end of, sorry, this is obviously for clients' presentation, but you too, happy to chat. I was actually talking to the people in the studio today saying, where I was going, because I'm at home. We've got an open plan studio, so me having this conversation with you guys would be highly disruptive to what they're doing. But yeah, we're all for the chat. And, God forbidding the COVID thing, if you're ever in the neighbourhood, drop in. Seriously, within reason, or give me a call. We love having, students ask questions, because you guys become the people that work with us, in a few years' time. So it's really important to kind of nurture that part of, the process. So Emma, am I jumping back now am I jumping out of this back into
you don't need to jump anywhere. I've got it all sorted. So I've got you now back on screen.
Right. Okay.
Unless you have any, that's the end of the preso, isn't it, Skye? Yeah.
Oh, look, sort of. I could bang on about stuff, but I actually like responding to people. If they've got any questions.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of great questions here, Skye. I might just call them out to you if that's okay, unless you want to peruse the quick Q&A. One from one of our students here, Kat. Do you have any key colour psychology principles that you always come back to or find particularly valuable to your practice?
Yeah, red is hard to use. It's funny. I've never been, and I know, Em, I think do you use a bit of red? You're comfortable with the use of red.
I can be scared of red.
I know that it's probably not giving you the answer that you need. Was it Kath or Cat? Cat. Sorry.
Cat. Yeah.
Cat. I don't have the off the top of my head. Oh yeah, you always use this, that, and the other. Key principles. Again, I think it's really important to plug back into, what your client's talking about. Like, what do they want to do with that space? Do they want to create calming, nurturing, and if that's the case, the sort of the pinks and the, not creams, but yeah, the sort of warmer colour palette is really good with that. There's a lot of green that we use, sort of that lime, citrusy, vibrant green we use to sort of get good energy going in a space. We use it a lot in education, particularly in primary school, primary colours. It kind of, that sort of makes sense. I struggle with red though, and I sort of say red's the selfish colour, because it only really works well with black, white and grey, and it doesn't desaturate very well. So, you can take most colours and just pull the saturation out of it to kind of mute it. But red just goes bad. It doesn't, you have to start putting sort of cyan into it to get like a nice pinky rosy. But if you get red, try it in Illustrated. Get, a good old, red and then, or warm red, and cool it down, or desaturated, not good. So hopefully that's answered your question, Kat. Send me an email though, if you want to take any of these questions further, because yeah, I'm good on the email too.
Oh, thanks, Skye. That's so generous of you. I've got another question here from Maddie. She says, I love that you have templated designs. Just wondering what the design process is like for this, considering they may be used in many different contexts? Also, roughly how long do some of the projects take?
And that was from Maddie?
That's from Maddie, yeah.
Maddie, that's a great question, Maddie, and thank you so much for reminding me to tell you about that process when we come to the Utopia collection, because I said to the artists, you know, do you have any industries that, you know, you might want your work to appear in? Because, you know, you've got to be sensitive about anyone's work. And so that opened up a discussion about, okay, let's not put them into the mining industry headquarters, or, you know, BHP that have just blown up your, you know, or gambling. Like, there's a lot of people that want to use our stuff in gaming rooms, casinos, RSLs, pokey pits, whatever, and I just have to pull back from those ones. So yeah, there's, when it comes, so gosh, Maddie, now I've speared off in one direction and forgotten your question about the design process and the templated designs. But yeah, so we do, and this is the thing, when you run your own business, you can make it up as you go along. So we always look at the businesses that we are, you know, working with, and there's been a couple of times where I've just said, no, we thank you for the invitation to work on that, but, you know, we reserve the right. With templated design, we often find that the stuff on the website is almost like a starting point for a lot of people. So you can take the design as is, or you can say, oh, we need to use it in a way that it graduates out so that we can see the trees and not the car park. So that's where we start sort of tailoring it. And that's sort of where the cost comes from when it comes to our products. A lot of builders say to us, oh, why are your designs, or why are your products so expensive? And it's like, well, because there's a lot of design work that goes in behind what actually finally gets put into a project. So yeah, but the template, I wish it was as easy, and I'm glad that it looks as easy as a template, but it really is a starting point. You always have to fiddle things out, because as designers you can see that it doesn't really run along a wall, and it might turn a corner at an awkward spot, so you kind of have to extend it around or up or whatever. So but yeah, good question. Did I answer all of them?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Skye, this might lead us into a question that Chloe, one of our tutors, has asked on behalf of her cohort. Just talking about integrating graphics in the built environment in an innovative way is really helpful for our student cohort to hear about. When you're approached by a client for these kinds of jobs, do you deliver the design ideas to use floor, wall, elevator spaces, or do clients have an awareness to use these diverse surfaces?
I know where you're going with that, Chloe. And again, man, good questions. They're making me think. I thought they were going to be easy questions. No, so what we love is when a specifier, an architect, interior designer, or end user comes to us and says, okay, we've got these walls, that needs to be done there, and then we've got an elevator. And we will say, well, we suggest this for that area, this for that area. And in an elevator, unless it's a design that's been sort of put into glass panels itself, we can't, because none of our products are rated for use in a space that is that confined, because in case of fire, you don't want to be surrounded by burning any, you know, plastics or PVC or, you know, anything that can catch fire. So yeah, it really is, again, the communication, the conversation that we have with the people that we're working with, and also us asking the question. We do get specified quite often by people who are, you know, repeat specifiers, and they've already worked with us and they know, you know, how things perform. That's really easy. But yeah, we tend to keep learning, you know, as stuff, and that's how our product range has developed over time, because we were doing just canvases wrapped around a frame, and then they said, can you do that just on a wall? And I'm like, I think so. So we, developed that. Oh, can you do it on glass? I think so. So we like to develop things to respond to, what the market needs, and that's really great. It means that we keep our business going.
That's a really nice segue into our next question, Skye, which Viv, who's another one of our tutors, said, did you need to upskill, learn or research in making the transition from working with graphics to working in the context of 3D spatial design and environments? And I guess then once you were in there, upskilling, as you go along, you're just mentioning that you're always learning and you're always developing the business and what you produce.
Yeah, so this is a couple of things. I was lucky to start off. So the first incarnation of this business was called Blue and Brown, and my business partner then had a background in landscape architecture, and her husband was an architect. So yeah, there was a real upskilling. So I was just the designer. And she was like, this is how you measure a wall. This is how stuff to look out for, working in 3D space, because believe it or not, I'm a very flat, I only think in 2D. And there's been so many times where, I've been working on something, I'm like, oh, that's a corner. Oh, so it goes round into space. And yeah, I'm a little bit kind of like that. But the second part of the answer is surround yourself with good people. If you can't do it yourself, just talk to someone or employ someone or partner up with someone. So I'm really hoping that, when you guys collaborate on stuff, don't just all clump in, oh yeah, we're all the good people in typography. So, we all like typography and we're going to clump together. Yeah, good luck with that. Because you're going to need the people that can, have a great hand to draw or have awesome kind of color palettes or whatever. Like it's so much better to have like a spread of skills rather than a clump. And you know what? That's life, actually. If we're homogenous and we don't have, stuff from all over the place, all over the world. I'm not going to use diversity because it's a tricky word, that one, but we need more rather than less of the same.
That's really great advice, Skye, and particularly relevant to our students who are working in these studio collectives and learning to kind of collaborate across disciplines, and share assets and share skills, and so that's really relevant, and also relevant to our next question from Sarah, who says, such a hugely diverse range of products and outcomes. Can you tell us a bit about how your team works together as a studio? How do you divide up the work? Who does what? How big is your team?
Right, okay, so I'm so sorry. I was going to do a quick video of the team. It came at the last minute. I thought, oh, they probably want to have a look at, where I am, and who's in the room. So we're a team of 6 in the studio and 2. I've got, the second business is the printery, which we only started a year ago because we were printing so much, and we were printing it in Melbourne at the time. So there was a real lag in, getting stuff between the studio and our print partner. And as a business, it just seemed like the right thing to do, just diversify a little bit and, invest in that. We could, but, and there's two guys in that, in the printery. But I guess, again, I'm a big believer in small groups, and, a team of 6, it's awesome. 6 or 7, that that's really great. That's really manageable for one person to manage. When you become bigger than that, then you've got to sort of start having a real hierarchy and a real demarcation. Then you have a whole bunch of people that are just doing one job over there, and a whole bunch of people do. So our little team, basically, that we've got, I'm, the head designer, but I'm the director. So I do all the, crunchy admin stuff and just kind of direct traffic and whatever. I've got another designer. the person who does most of the grunty kind of pointy end of the work is our estimator, quoting person and contracts administrator, because when you're working in these environments, you need someone who can take a bunch of plans and elevations and figure out how much they need, put that into a quote, look at the contracts, make sure that that's all hunky-dory. And she will sort of manage part of the job as well. We've got our production manager who's in the studio. He'll prepare all the artwork coming from the designers. And then we've got a studio junior who is studying at the con. He plays Baroque violin. He's a photographer. He's not a DJ, but many other things. And he's like our studio pet. No, that's bad. No. Oh, but no, he's like our mascot. He's so talented. He's this young 21-year-old guy, and he does all our sampling and all the sort of extra design stuff. But what we do in the team is that everyone has like overlapping skill sets. So if someone's off over there doing something, away or busy or whatever, someone else can just kind of fill their role. So it's one of those kind of Venn diagram sort of things where you've got a whole bunch of people and they can all do a little bit of someone else's job. And I really love that because it gives you a variety of tasks to do. Jump on the website, you'll see all their faces.
Thanks, Skye. I've got a question here from Ella, which kind of does respond to what you're talking about. She does say, your work is incredible. I love the intentional and functional detail behind it all, and it seems like a really enjoyable job. I was just wondering, what is your favourite and less favourite section of the design process? So when you're in that Venn diagram.
Gosh. I don't get to do very much design these days, so it's really lovely when I get to kind of jump in and, work on designs. My favourite is basically working either in the health or the education sectors. I just love working with those end users as opposed to people that are one step removed. I like talking to people about the space that they're in and how we can kind of, make it more interesting or better or say something or invigorate or quieten down or whatever. I don't work very well with open briefs. Like that is just so tricky because I'm not a fine artist. I'm an applied artist, and I guess that's kind of what you guys are as well. I like responding to a brief. So when someone says, oh, we've got this space, just do whatever you want. I'm like, but what do you want? What does it need to be? What do like give me some parameters so that I know where the wall, so what to push against, what to push for. What's the tricky area? What's the dull spot in the room? How can we kind of create something there that kind of makes it sing a little bit more? So, yeah, that sort of part of the design process is, I have to sort of turn around. But yeah, the open part is tricky. But in the business, I think the thing that I've really struggled with through COVID is, one, not having everyone in the room. And, I'm not going to bang on about that because you're all feeling it. So, we've just got to kind of get through it together. But the other thing is we have had a number of people take our designs and use them. And it just, to ring up people and start saying, hey, you've got to actually pay for these designs. That's a tricky conversation to have. So yeah, I don't enjoy it. Now, have I jumped off?
No, you're good. You're good. We're still here, Skye. Thank you. Sorry, I was just turning my mic back on. We've got a couple of last questions, and I'll just shout them out to you rather than have to bother you with having a look at them. Our students at the moment are designing for a future context, and we were just wondering, Viv was just wondering, where do you see your field of design and the future of design going in the next 10 years?
The future of design, or the okay, well, it's very easy for me to answer just for our stuff. You know, the fact that we're suddenly having to design for distance, you know, designing, you know, distancing stickers or signage around that. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry sort of stuff, but yeah, who would have thunk it that, you know, you have to go out and, oh, am I still on? Yeah, hopefully I'm still on. It says that it's bad quality.
Yeah, good.
All good? Okay. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff. At the moment, we're actually, you know, this very afternoon, we've got a whole lot of chemicals lined up down at the print shop, because what we're having to do is do a little bit of R&D on different COVID cleaning products, you know, for all of our, to make sure that, you know, they work okay for, you know, our hospitals and aged care facilities and schools and everything else. So, of course, there's going to be so much to kind of move into with, you know, with our new norm. But this is the thing that I do say, because I've got an HSC student at the moment and also one in tertiary education, probably the same age as you guys. And, you know, until COVID, they were like, oh, you know, everything's been done and the boomers own everything, and, you know, everything's just stacked up against us awesome young people. And now that we're in this, you awesome young people are in the best possible position to spot the opportunity. And that's all it's about. So there's going to be opportunity if you keep your eyes open and if you keep asking the questions and communicating. You're going to be able to find, you know, hey, there's a new technology opening up to deal with interacting on your phone so that you're at a safe distance, not the one that the government made, because that's hopeless. But, you know, there's going to be, you know, I hope there's, you know, graphic designers out there that are thinking about what they can develop to help us through this. You know, how do we communicate using graphic designs, using signage, using colours, whatever, to move through this new world?
Absolutely agree with you, Skye, there. I think our next generation of designers also have to create their own opportunities as well. And absolutely. We've got a couple of questions here asking about internship opportunities with your business. Someone's also asking whether there's a job opportunity for their mum. I'll let those people contact you directly.
Please do. But I will preface it by saying we are, you know, unfortunately we're at capacity studio at the moment. So, you know, unfortunately we can't employ or have interns or, you know, that sort of thing. Hopefully in the future, you know, I'd love to. But yeah, it's always tricky just because, you know, we've only got so many spots. But yeah, send me emails.
Absolutely. Look, you've given everybody so much incredible insight, advice, and really inspiration today, Skye, particularly for well, the whole cohort, but a lot of our students are studying graphic design, but also seeing how the as a graphic designer, the collaborative practice and the blurring of lines between disciplines is you know, incredibly important. Gosh, I seem to have lost your video. I'm just trying to grab you back, but that's okay. No, there you are, you're back. Look, thank you on behalf of everyone, Skye. I can't thank you enough again for the time that you spent today chatting to the students, and really it's just a fantastic insight. So thank you so much.
Absolutely my pleasure. And, you know, please guys, you know, keep in contact with each other, you know, reach out to us, sign up to our website, sign up as an interior designer or architect, and you get, you know, the full view of everything. Otherwise, if you're a signage person, we kind of limit. But yeah, I look forward to maybe meeting, you know, if you ever come across me in public out there somewhere or whatever, just say that you were part of this, because I'd love to see, you know, who was there.
Oh, thanks, Skye. That's so generous. Well, listen, thanks again, and hopefully we'll look forward to potentially sharing some of the students' work with you at the end of this, so you can see some of the work that's coming out, and potentially connecting again with you sometime in the future. So thanks.
Great. Okay, guys, take care and stay safe. Thanks, Em.
Thanks, Skye.
You.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.